How much is Jesus?
You gonna always see me smiling. I'm gonna show you what real restoration looks like. Welcome to a special edition of the BlaCc Jesus show. Today I got two special guests. One is my boo thing, my wife, my main squeeze, my only squeeze, should I say, baby? I ain't mean to say this, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? This JaNae Bates from Isaiah. She's the co-executive director of Isaiah and Faith in Minnesota. And then we also got Stephen Johnson Grove, who is my former lawyer. He is from Movement Law Labs, but when he was working with me, it was in the Beyond Guilt Project, which was an initiative of the Ohio Justice and Policy Center. How you doing?
Good.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Hey.
Yeah, so this special edition, we are going to recap my experience on the show, on the Netflix show, I Am a Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, doing that show I got mixed feelings about it, because the thing that they told us that show was supposed to be about and do turned out to be totally the opposite. What we set out to do, what me and my family thought we were doing, we were going to have a film about reconciliation and redemption and restoration, which is something that is needed in this country. And Transistor and Netflix, they told us they agreed, and they told us that they were going to make a film that was going to depict this, that was going to embody this, that was going to show this. But what ended up happening was they sensationalized it for TV. So this was another large corporation putting dollars over people. But
yeah. And I think it's also worth naming. I know you said me and my family, but you should actually say what you mean by that, because I think from the show, people would think you mean me and you.
Oh no, I'm talking about Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins. I'm talking about Cheyenne, and I'm talking about Melanie, right? Yeah. And the thing, even that thing, how they tried to make it seem like it was a certain distance between me and Melanie. I think you could tell them a little bit better, because you was out when they was doing that part of the production.
Well, let's actually go into like why we wanted to do the show in the first place. Like, we were game and excited about telling a story of restoration. It was and continues to be a really beautiful and miraculous aspect of your story and our story, our collective story. You know, the relationship that we have with the Jenkins and have had for over a decade, the relationship with Melanie and Cheyenne in the last 2 years has been remarkable and beautiful, and has made room for you to be able to lean in and live fully into who you are. And so, you know, the producers at Transistor initially said that they too wanted the world to be able to hear a story like that. And unfortunately, you know, there were the aspects that were clearly brought in to add skepticism to the story. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Stephen? It sounds like, you know, I know we've talked about this before, but you have named that, you know, you think that it was a mixed bag in watching the show.
Yeah. And Dontez, I'm so curious about sort of like even the arc of like what the story of your participation with this, like when did they reach out to you and all that. But so you can tell the story however you want. You know, if you want to jump to the end of like me watching the episode after it's produced, after it's released to the public and it's on Netflix. And as someone who knows the story better than most, because I was, you know, involved with the legal case. So like you all had talked to me over years, we'd worked and you know, the facts were clear to me and I'd read the records of the case. So, you know, I knew more than most people, and I watched it and I was like, oh yeah, they definitely skewed things, or kind of, you know, it's like they intentionally created more shadow than they had to, and that, you know, sometimes bordered on lying, and other times went right over the line to lying, where they're just like, that's just not true, the way they skewed it. And yet, and still, like at least the first half of the show is you two. you both your voices. I mean, not just about you, but like literally your voices and you telling your story. So that was really powerful, actually. That it was so powerful that I felt like it was an unsinkable. The way I think I said it to you, JaNae, after the thing, it was like I felt like it was an unsinkable ship. Like even though the second half they kind of put this little shade here and this little dagger there and threw this thing at you there, and it made the detectives make it sound this way and Melanie and Monica make it sound that way a little bit. And even Melanie's not really against you. They just kind of edited her interview in a way that made it sound a little shady. But she actually doesn't hold any of that in her heart or mind. All that to say, even with all that, like you get to the end and I'm like, oh, I'm still on this guy's team. I mean, of course I'm biased, but I'm like, my hope and prayer is that other people would see that like, oh no, I'm still on this guy's side. Like he's legit. He's the stuff. He's actually. And yeah, anyway, so I'll stop there so we can get into all the details. Any of the juicy details you want to get into?
Yeah. Okay. So I know Doug said you were initially asking about the Melanie piece. And like, I would just name, and the one thing that, not the one, there were a few things, but the thing that I found almost comical was how they set it up where I would, when I initially introduce you in the film, you hear me say, well, his name is Jamel Dontez Hatcher, but everyone who knows him or, cares for him, his friends and family, we call him Dontez. Right. And they specifically asked me, the producer specifically asked me to name that because they're like, well, his name is Jamel Hatcher. So we want people to be clear why you keep saying Dontez throughout the film. And so I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But then when they interviewed Melanie, which they interviewed her actually before they interviewed me, but they had already created a storyboard. And Melanie kept calling you Dontez initially. And they're like, actually, can you say Jamel? We don't want to confuse the watchers, the viewers. And can you please call him Jamel? And because she doesn't call you Jamel, in the film, she goes, Jamal said, da da da. And it was like, she doesn't even call you that. So she called you the wrong name because she calls you Dontez. And she did not want viewers to see. Well, she said that people who are his friends and family call him Dontez. So clearly, she couldn't call you what she actually calls you because we all have a relationship.
Yeah, and even after the film came out, and all of the backlash came, and the negativity, and the death threats, and people talking crazy. It was Melanie on the phone who was consoling me. It was Melanie who was on the phone telling me to worry about what's important, worry about the family, worry about and telling me that she loved me, and we're gonna get through this. Yeah. So it was her when I was feeling down. She the one was lifting me up. It was the Jenkins the ones was lifting me up, and it was like the rest of the world was trying to bring me down. I ain't gonna say the rest of the world, but just it seems like that when I'm talking to you and I'm hearing like, oh, it's hundreds of people saying this, people are blitzing the website, people are blitzing the social media. It was hurtful, but but they actually showed the love, and this is the thing that people don't get to see, and this is the thing that. The story of reconciliation, redemption, but also just the family love that we have. This is the thing that people don't get to see and don't understand. And some people, they're just trolling on the internet. Like they don't care what's going on. They don't know us. They don't care about our family. It's just to say stuff, But I'm not gonna let that deter me from doing the things that I'm doing. I'm going to continue to be a father. I'm going to continue to be a husband. I'm going to continue to run programs. I'm going to continue, even getting out of here and pretty soon, which is 2025. Like I know the show will have people believe that I got a parole date, but I don't actually get out in 2025. And I'm looking forward to going home and just continuing to do the things that I've been doing. Continue to. I guess I'm trying to say is the only thing that I can do is continue to just be great, continue to do the things that I've been doing, and every day that I wake up and go to sleep, I got to wake up and go to sleep as myself. So I think my authenticity will shine through as with consistency, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, with
It does.
Yeah.
You know,
okay, go ahead.
Oh no, you were about to say something.
And I just want people. I just want people to not lose sight of what the show was actually supposed to be about, and
Right.
that is reconciliation and redemption. I know at the end of the show, like you said, they showed the detective, they showed Monica, and the things that she was saying. But understand this: like, I love my daughter, I love Melanie, I love the Jenkins, and Monica is their relative. So I don't want to get on this show and bash her in any kind of way. And plus, I took something from her. So, and different people process trauma different ways, and this is the way that she is processing her trauma. But I want people to feel when you look at her portion of the interview to actually just use your critical thinking skills. The people who raised Danielle from since she was 2 years old, and the mother who birthed her has a different perspective of who I am and what I'm capable of. And this is not because they are stupid or they're easy to manipulate. These are intelligent, smart people. It's just they made the conscious choice to choose reconciliation and redemption. They chose restoration. And I want, and that's the thing that is needed most in this country. We need more restorative justice practices. And that's the reason that I did this film. I wanted to show people that restoration is possible. And then in my case, I have an extreme case. A lot of people who are seeking reconciliation and redemption, their case would not be this extreme. But I just want to be able to show people that this thing is possible. And a person that's maybe on his way to prison or in prison who may see this, that you do not have to come to prison, and you do not have to just rot when you come to prison. You can actually change. Like it's light on the other side, and there's hope for reconciliation and redemption. It may not be for everybody, but it's definitely hope for it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. There's so much of your story that was so unique, and that's what drew me. I mean, when JaNae is the first one that called us at Ohio Justice and Policy Center. Myself and David Singleton. That was the other. He's not here today, but both JaNae and Dontez know well. He was a lead lawyer, and I was helping David with this case. And the Beyond Guilt Project, which is taking a lot of complex, difficult cases in prison. Generally, it's called Beyond Guilt because there's a wonderful, beautiful Innocence Project in Ohio and in many states. But we took this case, like we take many of the cases there, for people that definitely did what they did. They did something, and they're owning up to it. And they still deserve a second look. They deserve a shot at redemption. They deserve that their story be told. And the reason I say that a little background about that project is just that for all the incredibly unique things about Dontez's story, this thing about someone in the media, or often someone in the court system, like a prosecutor or the judge or a detective or something, somebody skewing the story hard to reinforce their narrative of something, whatever it was. In this case, it's Netflix, right? When it's a prosecutor or a judge, you get the feeling of why they skew a story. They skew a story because they're like all about protecting the conviction, justifying the system, making punishment seem like a righteous thing, more and more and more and more and even more punishment. Locking people in cages as though that helps anybody for anything. So the system is always trying to tell a story that backs up all these absurd things that are usually not true. Netflix is trying to skews the story because, like you said, they're trying to make a buck. They like it when it gets people excited that, like, ooh, this crafty, sneaky, whatever. It's like they just needed to make a character up. They turned you into a character, not you. Yeah. And it's a shame. I think that's what hurts so bad. I mean, it doesn't hurt me like it hurts you because it's you. I can't even imagine what it feels like. Yeah. But it is a shame from my perspective, just because
like betrayal.
The story itself, raw, unadulterated, without any skewing, the story is already freaking amazing. Okay, it's already astounding. It's beautiful and worthy of any kind of television or movie or whatever novel you want to write. So it's it's a shame that they're like, oh no, we need this. Sorry, screw up. I was gonna use a French word there. They're gonna mess up your story.
Yeah.
In order to like fit it into some bizarre storyboard, as you said, like they kind of created a storyboard and they're like, oh, we got to make it fit this thing rather than just telling the story. It's like the raw thing is already beautiful and incredible.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've had a friend already name that like positivity does not hit the algorithm in the same way. And it certainly does not in the same way. I mean, and then, you know, like the reality, as you named, Stephen and Dontez, like, yes, the story is beautiful. It is miraculous on the tail end, like where we are now. So I think that's a part that the show does a lot of injustice to, is that they tell the beauty and the possibility in the beginning, and then they tell the trauma and the tragedy in the end. And it's actually reversed.
Digressive matter.
It's like, but also the reality of it is a total reverse. There was horrible, horrible tragedy. The fact that Danielle Boone is not on this earth anymore is tragic and awful and horrendous.
Yeah.
And there are a series of people who have like irrevocable, like, impact and trauma from that. And even in that, so much has happened. Like I mean, you all know that I totally attribute it to the beauty of God and God's grace and goodness. So much has happened that has allowed people to experience healing, that has allowed a Melanie to experience healing, that has allowed the Jenkins to experience healing, hope, forgiveness, and allowed Dontez to be unlocked from the own prison of his mind and emotions.
Right.
And the fact that we had an opportunity, I agree with you, Stephen and Dontez, like there is, it was a hardship, but there's a lot of beauty also in being able to tell the story to scale. Like, yes, we have gotten horrible vitriol and death threats, but also probably in equal measure, people pouring out like heartfelt prayers, we've gotten stories of other people saying like, my loved one is incarcerated and I want them to be able to experience something better or beautiful. They're in this like spirit of depression. They feel damned or condemned for life for whatever act they took. And like the reality is that our story is just a micro of what is happening over and over in this world. But if we have more stories that are publicly told of what's possible, that people do not have to be condemned like for the rest of their lives, for the worst day of their life, then it actually allows them to become better people, that allows other people to become better people, that breaks generational cycles of harm and hurt and terror and violence. Like, that is the thing that we really want. That's what we say we want with our criminal justice system, is that we want to end cycles, right? But we don't actively do that. And this is one story that does that.
Yeah, and the Jenkins, they are so incredible. When I first reached out to the Jenkins, and and it was hard. It took me getting clean. It took me getting sober to even be able to do so. And when I finally did it, the first few conversations was hard. But they told me that they was willing to go on this journey of restoration with me. But it definitely came with conditions. And they conditions weren't for me to die. It wasn't for me to rot. They wanted me to become a man worthy of being in my daughter's life. They wanted me to become a better person, a better man. They wanted me to come down and work and grow on myself personally. They wanted me to be a person that they could be proud of, my daughter could be proud of, and that was their conditions. And that's what I've been living up to. So, but to have the Jenkins throughout over a decade, the people who has been my main supporters, pushing me to be better. Like, that is something that a lot of people in the criminal justice system don't get to experience, because the criminal justice system doesn't facilitate things like this. We make no mistake that every every portion of our restoration story, we got it without the help of the criminal justice system. We had to go outside the system to get this. But imagine how the system could be if the criminal justice system actually facilitated these type of practices. If they actually offered some type of services that would actually allow people to to have more stories like mine.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I mean, you just said it so well, Dontez. I think because I know that your reconnection with the Jenkins happened before you met JaNae in your life, right? I mean, that's really, in some ways, that's the, if one was looking for the nucleus of the story, it would be that. The story, that turning point, and how astonishing the Jenkins are for being able to hold both of those things, all those things, being able to hold the trauma, not, looking past it. They're not deluded. It's not like they're sort of denial of how horrible this was. And yet not throwing you away either, not throwing you under a bus, or just like somehow the media usually just they love it when there's red meat, when there's like someone's out for blood. They just love to capture on film someone just, I hope that guy rots forever. I hope he gets the electric chair. So, they just love to capture someone's face and emotion when they're in the space of vengeance. And instead, you get Ernest and,
JaNae.
JaNae. Yeah. I mean, that's, and then maybe that's the way. I'm just curious for you. Now, I'm not who's the podcast host here, but I am really curious for you. Like, in a dream world, like if you could make this into a movie or a Netflix episode or whatever, you had an hour. It's like, where would you start? Would you actually start with the night? Would you start with you meeting the Jenkins?
No,
would you start with you meeting Cheyenne and go backwards? If you've seen, and I'm sure JaNae knows this very well, there are all kinds of really creative storytelling techniques where you can kind of start in the middle of a story and then go backwards, or go at the end and go backwards, or start here and then jump around. And sometimes that can skew the story, but sometimes it makes it more true and more powerful. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, you don't have to tell me now, but I'm just like curious, like, how would you do like this?
I'll tell you a little bit. I just want to say that I am a culmination of every shoe I ever walked in. Every shoe I ever walked in. Every place I ever been in my life, I am a culmination. I am the sum of all of it. So it's funny that you brought it up, because I actually have another documentary coming out. BlaCc Iz Jesus, the Jamel Dontez Hatcher story. Look out for it to be coming out in 2025.
Really?
And I want to tell the entire story. So I'm going to talk about from childhood up in. I'm gonna talk about from childhood up into think about this, from childhood up until my wedding to JaNae, up until we had that big ceremony. Like that's what you're going to see in this documentary. You're going to see some everything. You're going to see my story in full context. Is what you're going to see.
Okay.
You're going to see. I'm going to show you the good points, the bad points, and even after shooting the Netflix film, and some of the things that I wasn't even privy to, because portions of my life when I was high off the PCP, I actually don't even remember being in an interrogation room.
Yeah.
So it is certain things that I didn't even remember. So me hearing the detective's voice was my first time hearing his voice, but it wasn't my first time hearing his voice. So that was like an eerie feeling. Like, I talked to this man before. I've had a full conversation with him and don't remember what I said. So even hearing him lay out the case was kind of hard, was gut wrenching, because it was a real eerie feeling. But so when certain things was revealed to me, I came back. I didn't know how I was gonna call the Jenkins. I didn't know how I was gonna call my wife and tell them these things. When I called the Jenkins and I told them the things that were revealed, you know what she told me? She said, "Why does that matter?" He said, "That just makes the amount that you're on right now even higher." That lady made me want to cry. And I'm sitting there stomach in knots, not even knowing how I'm going to tell her some of this stuff. And that's the response that I get.
What was the thing because I don't think your viewers know what the thing you're talking about was that was revealed.
Okay. So I never knew about the thing with LaTanya. Me and her supposed to have sex. So when it happened on the film, they don't show you this portion, but I'm kind of like going back and forth with the producers, like trying to make sense of it. So what I can tell you is this: when I got to her house, I had just smoked some of the PCP, and anybody that knows that stuff makes you hallucinate, makes you lose memory. It's a crazy drug. So, but I do remember this. I do remember like fumbling around in the dark. I think I was like trying to wash my hands, get blood off of me. And I know that she had a boyfriend that was there, and she had 2 children. So I don't even know in what world and what time that where we could have had some sex. So that's what's in my mind. But when they dropped it on me, I had never heard it before. So when I get back from filming, I go and I text LaTanya, and for full context, I hadn't talked to LaTanya all these years until the Netflix thing came up, and then my brother found her because I was letting her know like some people might be coming to talk to you because I know that she was my alibi. So when I text her on the message app and I said, hey, Netflix just said this thing, is this true? He never texted me back, ghosted me, never gave me a full answer, or any answer for that matter. So I don't even know whether I did or I didn't, but having to go to Mrs. Jenkins, and present this news like this is something that's about to come out. I don't know whether I did it or I didn't. The thing she said was, "Why does it matter?" Like it just makes the mountain that you're on right now even higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my other question, because these days, stuff's all, kids have to deal with social media and everything, is like, how's it been for Cheyenne? How's the fallout of the story been for her?
I don't think too many people have said anything to Cheyenne. Only thing I know, her orientation was, when we asked her about the things that the detective was saying, her orientation was, boy, bye. That's what she had to say to the detective.
About the detective.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, she was like, boy, bye. So that was kind of her orientation around it.
Well, babe, you gotta explain what you mean, because Steven was like, what? What does that mean?
Oh, that's young people talk for get out of here. Like I don't believe you. It doesn't matter what you're saying. But you know what? Another thing about what the detective's saying, that was one of the other things.
Well, wait. Before you even go there, finish with Cheyenne. So we've been talking to Cheyenne, of course, because again, we're all family. Sure. I was with Cheyenne yesterday. Her whole thing was, she was, very.
You have 1 minute remaining.
We're almost out of time. She was very defiant about the detective. Of course, she loves him.
It's a special episode. I could call back in.
It's up to you, man. We're here.
Are we doing it? Are we extending it? Okay, I'm calling back in. Give me a second.
This is JBIS with breaking news.
Fuck Netflix as a production company, streaming service, and as a motherfucking crew. And if you want to be down with Netflix, then fuck you too. Transitive Films, fuck you too. Them people on Reddit, fuck you too. Nah, but on some real shit though, bro. Man, I watched that film. I see all the comments. I hear all the, sidebar conversations people having and shit, man. Listen, everything they talking about, don't even let that shit get to you, bro. You got your daughter. You got the support from Melanie and the Jenkins. You got the support of your wife. You got the support of your family. You know what I mean? You know the people that reached out to you at random that's giving you support. Everybody gonna always have some slick shit to say. Everybody gonna always have some comments, bro. But listen, just take what them haters say and use that as fuel, bro. Keep going, keep striving, keep being better, and showing what, restorative justice can really look like, showing what redemption can really look like, bro. Keep doing your motherfucking thing.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back.
All right, we're all here.
We're back.
So, JaNae and I were agreeing. We just wanted to finish this one part. It's like, thank you for telling us about how Cheyenne reacted to the story. I think a lot of people, myself included, were very concerned. Like, are people coming at her? You know, is she getting a lot of flack as far as
that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah.
Most of the things that she's gotten have been really positive. The folks have reached out just to say, hi, I saw you on Netflix. You know, asking how she's doing. She's like, I'm fine, I'm good. You know, she's only had one person who came in hot and said some pretty awful things, and she got into an argument with them. And I'm like, Cheyenne, do not argue with these people. But really, she's only had one negative experience. Most people have come and, you know, and said positive things, supportive things, and are in support of her. Some in support of her dad as well. But she's gotten some love. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Well, I don't want to address individual trolls, but I do feel there's one that I need to say something to. Okay, now you was telling me about a lady that said something about my shirt.
Oh my!
I just felt like I got time today.
That was so funny. Well, wait. So that your listeners have some context. So I have a public Facebook and Instagram, like, you know, always been open and welcome to people, you know, who either know me or don't know me and want to chat. And so I think my post was, I don't even know if it was a post about our family. It might have just been like a regular what I did today post, but some random woman commented on my post and basically was like, I just don't like his shirt. His shirt is too tight with his muscles showing. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
And to you, and to whoever you are, I just want to say, lady, just say I look good. That's all you got to say. That's what you really meant. And it got you feeling conflicted because you want to hate me, but you like me. So
he's taken. Let the record reflect. Dontez is taken.
Yeah,
let the record reflect. Like, Dontez also has some nice pipes. I mean, he's, you know, so we just leave it at that.
That's all you have to say.
There you go.
Yeah, like, man, I worked hard for you. You know how many pull-ups I had to do to get these? These ain't come overnight. I didn't buy these off commissary.
So what's next? So you're going to do your own documentary.
Oh, yes. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Got my own documentary coming out. I'm in works right now. The promo will be out in a minute, so people will be able to see it. Oh, by the time you see this podcast, it's probably be in front of it. But if not, it's just know it's coming. So it's going to give you full context of what's going on, and I'm going to continue to put out content. I'm going to continue to do the BlaCc Jesus podcast. Me and my wife also have another podcast coming out. It's called Recorded and Monitored.
That's right.
So be on the lookout for that. Yep, be on the lookout for that. Oh, and I am a combat sports connoisseur. So me and my younger brother, we have a podcast coming out, and it's called You Got Knocked Up Out. All about combat sports. So that'll be out too. And I just got, and like I said, I just have to live. Like I'm going to show people what reconciliation and redemption looks like. I'm going to show you what the face of restoration is. When you see me, you're going to see me smiling in all my pictures. You're going to see me living life because I have reconciled with the people that are closest to me. I have been able to find that forgiveness, and it is a joy that comes along with that cannot be explained unless you have attained it.
Yeah, we hear it. I mean, I hear it in your voice now, and I think people will continue to hear that when you're out in the community, when you're released next year. It's coming up actually relatively soon. The clock's ticking.
Oh my God! Please, let me say this once and for all, so it can forever be broke down. Listen, people, I get out in 2025. If I go to the halfway house, it'll be around April or May. If I have to max out, it would be in September. I get 5 good days per month for going to college. So I do not have to have a parole date. I do not need to manipulate a bunch of people in order to stand up for me for the parole board. Even after the show came out, it was a whole website that was talking about my endless thirst or my endless quest for my next parole date, which is 2025. And I'm gonna tell you another thing.
There's not a parole date. No parole.
There's not. There's no parole. And man, another thing, when the show came out, by the time the show comes out, the show be out for 3 minutes. Mysteriously, it'd be a Reddit page and a whole website already talking about the episode. None of y'all watched the episode that fast. How did y'all get the inside scoop? How was you on there 5 minutes after the show came out, talking about what happened at the end of the show? That's fishy.
Welcome to the internet. This is normal.
Who said?
It is normal.
Normal practice for the internet to be absurd.
Normal.
But the internet is undefeated. Some of the stuff apparently on Reddit, I think it was 2 days ago, they said I stabbed the father of 4 or something. I'm like, I don't know when I got out to stab this person. They just say whatever.
Hey, first of all, how do you even know about this stuff? What do you tell your cousin and your brother to stop giving you information from the internet?
I just told on myself, didn't I?
You did.
That's what I did.
You did.
Yeah, okay.
You tell me don't read that stuff, and then you got them reading it. Oh my gosh. I mean, but to Stephen, to your point, the thing that I'm really looking forward to being told in the stories to come, both through, this documentary he's working on, but like all of the different ways in which he's going to get to just be able to be fully human again, is the aspects that didn't get lifted up. Like, Stephen, you all met Dontez, before he actually reconnected with Melanie and Cheyenne, and you all decided to take his case anyway.
Sure did.
And that was, he had already reconnected with the Jenkins, but he'd been in a relationship with the Jenkins for almost a decade by then.
Yeah. There
There was no big pushes for an early release. It was just to be able to be in relationship with people he harmed. And to allow them to get to experience healing and allow him to have some hope. And so, and then when him and I connected, we had already known each other for years, but when we reconnected, it was just years of just like friendship and like him being a person who needs a friend.
That's kind of true. That's kind of true. I was plotting on you.
He was
plotting on you.
He was, but it was friendship. Okay. One of the things that I found really like heartbreakingly beautiful in the, even at the point where he was considering, trying to get in a reentry program that would include an early release.
Yep.
When a legal team told him, hey, you got really screwed over by your defense.
Yeah.
And we think that you should be able to basically, have this relitigated, which means you'll get resentenced. And we think, you'll probably get time served, but it will mean contacting everyone who's considered a victim, including his daughter. And at that time, what was it, like 2019? You were like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I don't want my first interactions with my daughter to be with this justice system he was like, I want to have a real relationship with her. And if that means I got to sit in prison for another 6 years, then that's what I'll do. And like, none of that gets lifted up. Like at the moment that he thought that this was going to have any like impediment on him having a relationship with his daughter, he was like, I will sit in prison for the full term so I can have a real relationship with her. So just like those kinds of things, I think they need to get lifted up, not to show that he is no perfect human, because I tell y'all right now, he is not. But there is some real. But just like a lot of the things that I think, the big corporations like Netflix try to do is the reason that they made us the very first episode, it was to really get people to click on the next one and the next one and to feel all these conflicting feelings. I mean, even people who watch it, they like feel a sense of betrayal watching it. Like, oh, I thought he was this, but maybe it's that. And, you know, and that was the point for them. But like in reality, this is our life.
My daughter is the center of my sobriety. And my sobriety is what enabled me to even be able to talk with the Jenkins. Like, I had a Damascus moment road. I had a Damascus road moment when, this back when I was still in Mansfield, and I was still full-fledged into BS. I'm an active gang member at this time. I'm still drinking. I'm still smoking. You can get all the drugs you want in prison. Everybody know that. So one day, it was an Eminem CD. It was called Recovery, and the CD was mostly about him recovering from drug addiction. So I had never heard it. So one day, somebody let me borrow the CD. Now I'm in my cell, and I'm drinking and I'm smoking. And then a song came on called "I'm Not Afraid," and it caught my attention because he was talking about his addiction. Then there was another song came on a few songs later, and it was called "Going Through Changes." Now the song "Going Through Changes" has a part where Eminem was talking about being in the back of an ambulance and him hearing his daughter's voice, and the lyrics goes like, "Daddy, don't you down me. Daddy, better hold your ground." When I heard that part, I felt like that was Cheyenne talking to me. I had never heard her voice yet, but I felt like that was her telling me, don't lose yourself in prison. Hold your ground. And then I felt like a piece of crap because here I am, probably about 4, 5, 6 years later, after everything happened, and I'm still doing the same stuff. I'm still over here drinking. I'm still over here smoking. And I felt so bad about it. And I felt like I did not want to let my daughter down again. I took the blunt or limb, whatever you want to call it, and I threw it in the toilet. I took the wine and I poured it out, and I said, I'm never touching this stuff again. That was the end of 2010, and I never have again. And that's what allowed me to get sober. Like that was my sobering moment. And then months after that, I started going to the NA and AA meetings, and they kept saying, like, make amends, make amends, make amends. And that pushed me to be able to finally call the Jenkins. Like the following year, I think it was 2012. That pushed me into talking to the Jenkins, and it led to everything that you see now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
a white rapper. You're gonna have a tribute. I don't know about that, Dontez.
I mean, listen, people laugh at me when I say it all the time. People laugh at me like, man, what? But like, it's like that is literally an intricate part of my testimony. Like that, like me listening to that Eminem song, God giving me that Damascus moment, that Damascus Road moment. Mm-hmm. Like making me feel like that was my daughter talking to me. It's the thing that got me sober, and that's another thing that don't get mentioned a lot in my story, especially on Netflix, is the drug addiction. But it is not even just street drug addiction. Since I was in the 2nd grade, I've either been on a mental health medication or some type of street drug or the combination of the two. So that was the first time in my life. Yeah, that was the first time in my life being sober without nothing in my system. And I had to face everything after that. I had to feel all my feels. There was no type of escaping. So everything that I've done, every detail, all the PTSD that I got, all of the flashbacks that I get, I had to deal with them all. But I'm like, I'm never going to take nothing else that's going to alter my consciousness again.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage. I mean, that's very few people in this life ever fully face all the demons, all of them, and that takes a lot. So, I've gotten to work. I'm very fortunate. When I was, the many years I worked at the Ohio Justice and Policy Center with David Singleton, and your story, several others stand out as just like the most incredible human beings I've ever met. I mean, hands down, most honorable deepest convictions, truest characters are the people that have gone through all that, who have like gone to the pit of hell, looked it square in the eye, and walked straight back out. Like I just can't. I don't have that character. I mean, I'm humbled to have gotten to get to know you. I think that's what came through talking to you, JaNae, and then eventually getting to talk to you. JaNae was the very first person I talked to, and then I eventually got to connect with you, Dontez, and I think that's what landed. That's why David and I took this case. I mean, David's a very busy man, as JaNae remembers. It's very hard to get him on the phone, and so I tracked David down. I was like, David, we're taking this one. Listen, hey, read this. I'm telling you, read this. We are taking this case because that came through, and your character, the love between you two, Cheyenne, the connection with the Jenkins, like each of those key pieces is so brilliantly bright and strong and unassailable. I mean, and I think that's, I don't know where we're going, if we're wrapping up this conversation, but I'm just saying, like, that's why it's like this, unsinkable ship isn't even a good enough word, but there's nothing that can take that away. It is too true. It is too strong. It is too true. So, and I hope that you can come out through this, and because you're going to keep getting flack. People are going to always cast shade at you one way or another, whether or not, regardless of the Netflix episode, sure. Just because of whatever, like this happens in life. People are going to throw a lot of shade at you and skew things and whatever, and that you can stand so confidently, not arrogantly, but just with great steadiness.
Yeah, confidently.
Yeah, because you've got a beautiful wife at your side, because your relationship with Jenkins, your relationship with Cheyenne, and you can stand still, like you can almost let it roll off your back because you know what's true. And I feel that whenever I talk to you.
Like you. Thank you. And like you said, I'm going to stand in confidence, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to make sure that I do my best to make sure people don't have to have a story like mine. Don't like, and like even when I'm doing I wear many hats, but especially my Danielle project, I wasn't able to save Danielle for me when I was in the middle of my foolishness and my mess and my addiction. But every person that I reach out to with this program, every person that I try to help, I can possibly stop somebody else from not from reliving, but from basically making the same mistakes that I did and from going through this cycle. Because at the end of the day, if I can stop one person from coming to prison and another person from going to a grave, I'm going to do it. It is worthwhile. And it doesn't really matter that some people will feel like I'm not fit or I don't have the expert credentials. Let me tell you right now, I am an utmost expert, because nothing is more than lived experience, and I lived it all. Yeah. And I lived through this, and through that project, I've talked to so many different men with so many different perspectives. Once, like after a few cycles, it's like I've met everyone that come through this class before. So I am definitely, and people talking about, like, I don't want to take nothing away from people who got criminology degrees and criminal justice degrees, but nothing, like I said, nothing will compare to actual lived experience. You have studied criminals or people that you deem criminals. I have lived with them for almost 20 years. I've ate with them. I've bonded with them. I've failed with them. Sometimes I went into mop closets or bathrooms and fought them. So I've done it all. So this is my lived experience. I'm gonna tell you right now. I take somebody with a criminology degree or criminal justice degree. I challenge you to come in here and you go in the mob closet and fight one of them. Then I'll listen to what you got to say about your expert opinion. But until then, I feel like I'm going to be the foremost expert on the subject.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can only imagine there's going to be so many people that are going to benefit from hearing from your story. Men who need to hear it, women who need to hear it, young people. Maybe you'll get a chance to speak to young people. There's going to be so many people that are going to benefit from hearing this astounding story and be knocked over by it and be like, wow, I need to not go there
My daughter-
myself.
my
How can I short circuit the I'm on a bad trajectory? You're gonna save lives. I mean,
like
just telling.
Go ahead.
Just telling your story is going to save lives. It is in many places. I'm sure, hopefully in Ohio, and probably it sounds like hopefully in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Babe, anything you got to say before we wrap up?
No, this was it was good to get to debrief it a little bit. We don't have to relitigate all of the things that they do wrong, but we do get to name that was a portion of our story, and grateful for those who watched it and decided to reach out, in good faith to hear more, or it compelled them to think about, the world differently, and to think about how we are called to be in relationship with one another and to allow people to make mistakes. We are fully human and we do fully human things. And even when it results in some of the most tragic and horrible things, that there still has to be, there's something on the other side, and we have to make room for that, for not just the person who did the harm.
Yeah. That was kind of long for you for no, but okay.
Oh, my bad.
You said no there, you kind of went in there. All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this special edition. Thank you to my guest, and we'll see you next week. Signing out, BlaCc Iz Jesus.
Bye.